Hello, hi, it's me, Tanis of Tanis Fiber Arts, a dyer and a knitwear designer and a lover of beautiful things and colorful things and all things fiber. I am back from my summer holidays and ready to dive back in to YouTube, to knitting, to dyeing, to everything. So how about a tiny recap? I take the summers off. So Tanis Fiber Arts, it's just me and my husband, Chris, who is sometimes a guest host on this channel. And a couple years ago, several years ago, we started, our summer breaks started getting a little bit longer. And then one year we decided, what if we took the summers off? Like we matched our work year to the school year when our kids weren't starting school. Obviously, this was when this became more realistic for us, or more of an idea. We decided to try it one year, and we didn't think that it would be an every year thing. We started because it was, our kids were at a certain age where we thought they would really benefit from it for that one particular summer. And then it kind of stuck. And honestly, I think it's been the best thing. Obviously for our family, benefits from it tremendously, us being all together all summer. And then I actually do firmly believe that the business does as well, because we do big pushes in sort of May, June. We're motivated because we know we're taking time off in July and August that I don't think we would otherwise do. And so we get busy in May, June, and then we come in swinging in September, October. Fall, like pre-holiday, is always a busy time anyway, so I don't know that we make up that much in the fall. But the summers were always slower for us anyways, partially because it's slower for all businesses and partially because we were always functioning a little bit less intensely in the summer because it's so hot, because we always took some time off. And anyways, I guess I'm just trying to say it's a luxury. It's amazing. We have built our entire year around, planning to make sure that we're able to take the summers off. And I highly recommend making your business work for you if you can. So anyway, we're back and we had a glorious summer off. Really, really nice. We spend our summers at our cottage, our family cottage in Nova Scotia, which is amazing. The only place I want to be in the summer. The weather is perfect even when it's raining. It's so nice. It doesn't get too hot. We're right on the beach. It's absolutely stunning. My parents, my brother, my other siblings visit, my cousins, like it's really paradise, and we're very lucky to be able to do that. And yeah, that's what I'm coming back from. So if I'm a bit like spacey, that's why. This is my first real trying to focus after having taken some time off. The kids are all in school this year. I have 3 kids, and this is the first year that they're all together in elementary school, so that's very cute and really just fun. Feels like a milestone. I don't have a kid in daycare. My kids are all real kids in school, and it's crazy. And I thought the first thing back to talk about, well, I can tell you what I'm wearing first. I'm wearing my Totally Tank Top by Jessie Made Designs that I've gotten a lot of use out of this summer. I knitted all random stripes, and I absolutely adore this top, and I had intended to make another one, and I still for sure might. This I knitted out of Sheepy's Cantona cotton. It's 100% cotton yarn, and I had bought a kit with 10 gram skeins, so it has I think it has 130 different colors of cotton yarn, just 10 grams of each, so it's not a ton of each. And I think I had bought it intending to make like a blanket or something, and then, but I don't really like the yarn for a blanket. But so this is the first, because I had crocheted a couple of squares, and it's just really cottony. It's very, and it's kind of, I think it's mercerized cotton, so it's kind of shiny. And for a blanket, it's just not that like cushy and cozy the way that I would want it to be. And so I've had it for years, probably like 5 years, and I finally decided that I would give it a shot on this tank, and I feel like it's a really good match. And obviously I had to do it striped because I had so little of each. And I didn't have enough to make all of the ribbing match. So I ended up with the two-tone ribbing, which I think is like such a cute detail that I intend to like replicate on other things. So that's what I love about having restricted yardage. You really got to be creative. And I wore this a ton this summer. We're in the middle of a heat wave here in Montreal, even though it's first week of September. So I'm still getting a lot of use out of my summer knits. And I wanted to talk to you about everything that I knit this summer, because it's tough when you're away from your stash, right? For an extended period of time. I was away for about 7 weeks. And so I spent a lot of time planning what I was going to bring, because when you're away that long, you don't know what you're going to be in the mood to knit, right? So I really like to bring a lot of options and then, you know, go where the mood strikes, because there's nothing worse than bringing like just 1 or 2 projects and then you just don't feel like working on those things. You need options. So I brought a ton, and there were some things that I really wanted to get done, and I did. So let's talk about it. First, I'm going to talk about this. I finished my Alpine Bloom by Boyland Knitworks, Caitlin Hunter. This is my first pattern of hers that I've ever knit. And oh my God, like I could not be happier about it. And I will be wearing this as soon as the temperatures drop. In Nova Scotia, I already got to wear it. I finished it over the summer, and there was an evening in August where I was at my cousin's for supper. And you always have to bring a sweater, even in August, because evenings get cool. And I brought this sweater. The temperature did dip. I put it on and it was amazing. So the color work is gorgeous. What I did for this, which I'm really, there's nothing better. This main color is this color behind me. It's a color that I had called, I think I called it gilded bronze or golden bronze or something. It was a one-of-a-kind colorway that we are going to try. Chris, it's on his list today to try and duplicate it. But what had happened, the way that that color came about, is that he had dyed, in an attempt at dyeing these orangey, melony, corally colors, he had dyed a color that was just like straight pumpkin bright orange, and I really didn't like it. And so I don't sell colors that I don't like. And so he over dyed it with, we're unclear, we don't remember. Obviously something brownish, something that has a little bit of green in it as well. And it came out this incredibly rich, gorgeous kind of gilded colorway. And in fact, when we do nail the recipe down, I believe I'm going to change its name to Gilded. So the best colors always end up like that, where they start off as one thing, they don't quite work out, and then they end up getting other colors layered on top. And like this is a weird combo of bright orange that turned into somehow like a greeny goldy brown. It's not really green, but there's just some green, some of the darker spots kind of read a bit green. At any rate, and it's just magic. And it was so this is the yarn basically that I was choosing from when I was deciding what colorway I was going to knit my sweater in, because we had finished dyeing. I decided I wanted to cast on one fun project for the summer that was like a purely selfish project. Somebody else's pattern, somebody else's design, and to just work from it and do it. And so we were done dyeing. I had to choose from some stuff I had in stock. And my personal yarn stash, I almost never buy sweater quantities of yarn, which is foolish because it makes them really impractical. I can like only knit single socks or baby sweaters because I buy single skeins of fingering weight yarn. It's like, I'm like, oh, I'll find a use for that. But it's actually not that practical. And so, except that since I dye yarn, I can usually just dye whatever color I need, or I usually have so much yarn in stock to choose from. This was an exception because we had already wound down for the summer. We had done a sale. My shells this is what was left. And so I had to choose a color from here. And I chose this gilded colorway to be my main color because I love the way it pops with the blue tones. And then I knew I wanted to do her sample, the pattern sample. She uses a spin cycle yarn, a gradient, And of course, that sort of inspires you. I mean, there's so many beautiful 2-color versions as well. And it's not outside the realm of possibility that I put together 2-color kits. I could not put together a kit for this because this, I use my own hand spun. This is a skein of hand spun, the dark blue down to like through the purpley blue, the turquoise, that I've had in the stash for probably a decade. It's, I had spun from a bat of yarn, a single ply, really light fingering, almost lace weight yarn. And I did it just experimentally, just to see if it's the only yarn I've ever spun like that. So I wanted to try it. I don't think I super loved the process, which is why I haven't spun more like that in my life. But the colors I really, really loved. It's how I ended up with this gradient. But it was quite thin. And so I held it together with mohair, which makes I love that in color work. It really softens it. Now, it's not the absolute crispest, most crisp in some of these spots. And that doesn't bother me at all because it's crisp enough. You can still see the motif, and it just gives it like a real ethereal, magical, mystical vibe that I really, really love. And so when I paired the light fingering, almost lace weight with mohair, I got the right gauge. And also, I should mention that all the mohair was also from stash. These were just odds and ends. I don't have exact matches for, you know, the colors that were in the hand spun, but I just took the closest match, or something like here I used like a dark tealy color. Then I used purpley bluey. I had a bright aqua, and then at the bottom, this is the only section I wanted to sort of pull out the green. I guess I decided I should have just ended with the aqua, but it was going into some greeny tones in the hand spun, and so I used a chartreuse mohair, but it kind of pulled it really green, and then you really lose the patterning towards the end a bit. It's just a bit less crisp. Had I stayed with the aqua, maybe it would be crisper. More crisp. At any rate, I'm very happy with the results. The sweater fits perfectly, and it was a really lovely summer knit. And I did modify it I'm saying quite a bit. They were super simple mods, but she has, in the pattern, it's a short sleeve, and I just wouldn't wear a short sleeve tee. That is a mohair, thick, like warm yoke, because this is now double, right? Because it's 2 layers of knitting, since it, well, you know, 2 layers of yarn because of the stranded color work. So the yoke is really warm, and I'm super cold in the winter, and I need long sleeves. So I could, like, at any rate, long sleeves just made a lot more sense for me, because to me, with the color work, this wasn't summer. I couldn't wear it in the summer. She had so I extended, I just knit sleeves. She also has it designed with the short sleeves have a lace detail around the collar and then around the sleeves, which I also, maybe around the bottom, I'm not 100% certain, but I omitted. I just did ribbing around the neckline. I did a folded over double rib, which I love the structure that it gives and the cozy factor that it gives. And then I just did a 1x1 rib with a tubular bind off on the sleeves, and it is now my absolute perfect. Really, really simple modifications to just add sleeves and not work the lace detail, do ribbing instead. And it makes it way more my style, and I'm super happy with that. So that was one thing I wanted to finish this summer, and I did. So that's a success. And really fun knit, beautiful chart, highly recommend. And there you go. There's that one. The next 2 projects that I brought with me were sweaters that were almost done. They may have been done only needing sleeves, so that they're both for my daughter, and they both got completed, which I'm very happy about, because they're both patterns that I'm working on. So this one is the pattern that I'm going to call my City Limits Light. It's the same. I have a worsted weight pattern called City Limits that features the same details of the raised, it's reverse stockinette with a raised with a knit detail down the side that makes these lines. I've knit a sample for myself already in yarn from the Blue Brick, a gradient sweater kit, and then I knit this version for my daughter. And I loved, obviously, the 2-color ribbing, obsessed with the 2-color ribbing. And I think the stripe is so cute. It really makes it sporty and fun and pretty. She loves the pink, obviously. And this I knit in our Bluebird colorway. And I finished the sleeves, and now I've got another sample for my pattern to work on. My daughter really likes this one because she, of course, loves the pink. And I've mentioned before that my daughter, who's 5, she runs hot, and I make her, she's got a ton of sweaters because hand-me-downs from her older brothers. And she doesn't get as much wear out of them as they did because she's never cold, which is crazy because she's such a tiny thing. And I always think she should be cold, but she puts on a sweater and she gets hot. So fingering weight sweaters are definitely the way to go for her. And she's already enjoying these 2 that I finished. Like I said, here in Montreal, it's like 30 degrees Celsius, 31, it was like 42 with, what's that called? Humidex? Whatever. It's like 31, feels like 42. It's been insanely hot. But Nova Scotia is cool, beautiful sweater weather evenings. So we went like for walks on the beach where she's wearing this sweater. It's amazing. So this pattern I just need to write up and then it'll be ready to go. And I'm very excited about that. And then the next one that I think people will be quite excited about because it's been a long time coming is my Sunnyside baby cardigan. I'm just doing up the buttons now. I've knitted in a larger size. I'm planning on extending the sizes for more kid sizes. It was a free pattern that I wrote like 13 years ago or something, before I had kids, and my eldest is 10 and a half. But it only had 4 baby sizes. And so I'm writing it for bigger sizes. So she's 5 years old. She's been wearing this one. This one I knit out of a beautiful yak silk sock sample. And it's going to come to the shop. I've got more. We'll be dyeing it this week, or next week probably. This is a Stardust colorway dyed on yak silk. It's really, really beautiful. And I did fun multicolor buttons, primarily for 2 reasons. 1, because of course, and 2, because they're the only buttons that I had. I have this little pack of buttons that I bought 100 years ago that are just these tiny plastic kind of see-through buttons, and it's a little package that had like 100 multicolor buttons, and they're always appropriate. They're small, so they're only for like a single yarn over buttonhole, really probably more just for kid sweaters, but it's like every time I finish a little sweater. I did it this spring. I knit a sweater for my sister who just had a baby, and it was the same pattern. I knit the Sunnyside baby sweater and I needed buttons, and I'm like, that's the answer, rainbow buttons. And then when I finished my daughter's, I was asking her what she wanted for buttons, and she's like, I want rainbow buttons. And so this, I'm really also pleased with how this turned out. And also, turns out all my kids just love cardigans. So this is the sweater that she has been gravitating to, even more than the one with the pink. And this one's basically gray, which, 5-year-olds are very hard to predict. I did not know she was such a cardigan fan, and I did not know that she would. This one actually, it leans purple, so maybe that's the trick. But at any rate, this one too, I'll be extending the sizes in the Sunnyside baby cardigan. I'll probably be making it paid for because I think I'm going to leave the free Sunnyside baby sweater pattern as is, because it's been free, it's been there, people have been knitting it for years, and it's one of my most popular free patterns. And so I'm gonna leave it and then put a second version, which will have all the extended sizing, updated photos, updated formatting, maybe even an updated style of the way that it's written, and that'll be for people. That one will be paid for a regular pattern, but if you're not interested in the larger sizes, or if you're just like addicted to the one, addicted is not the right word, committed, satisfied with the one that already exists, it will still exist. So those are the 2 sweaters that I finished with sleeves, and those were sort of my 2 work projects this summer, because those are 2 where I'm working on the pattern. And so I really wanted to get the samples done, and I wanted to get some things finalized, and I did that, and so that was a success. Next, I brought sock yarn. So one thing I always bring when I go on vacation is a ton of sock yarn. So this is what I brought this year. I brought this is hard to see, but I bought this bag of, well, I had intended, I thought that I was going to knit a bunch. So see this is so funny. This is a little sock that I knit. It's called the Halvesies sock pattern. I knit a pair of socks for myself in these colors. Loved it so much. My daughter loved it, and she really wanted me to knit one for her. And so I knit a single sock for her, and she's so small, and she's only 5, but I knit it too small. Like, as you can see, I'm like, how her foot is this big, which looks huge to me. Like it's this long, but this is really skinny. She could slide it, like she could get it on, but it was not the right proportions. I needed to knit it a size bigger. And of course, I hope I wrote down somewhere. So I didn't knit this I ended up losing steam on the halvesies socks, but instead I had also brought a skein of just fun stripe, you know, this crazy zebra yarn, they call it, where, anyways, super multicolored. Some of the yarn, some of the bare yarn, it's not all just white. There's some like black and white zebra kind of sections. And I knit this pair of socks for my son, and he picked the colors for the cuff. And then I knit this pair of socks for my daughter, and she picked the colors for her cuff. And this is how big a sock needs to be for her. Not this teeny tiny skinny, which is crazy to me because this is not that much smaller than well, to me, this doesn't look that much smaller than a sock that I would wear. I can fit into this one, and it's like, I just feel like she's a quarter of my size, but apparently her feet are not. So at any rate, super fun. Both of the yarns in this sock, the yarns that I used for the cuff, it's not true for this one, but it's true for this one. They have no nylon. They're pure wash fingering leftovers because a cuff is not a part of a sock that for me or my family typically wears out. It's all heels and toes. And so for the cuff, I can use anything, but I need something with nylon content for the rest. And that was the same with this. The cuff and all of the top of the sock, almost all of these colors are pure wash fingering, which do not contain any nylon, which I would not use for an entire sock because for me, the heels and toes on that would wear out much faster than the rest. So the base, sorry, there's fluff. I thought it was a bug, that's why I panicked, but it was just fluff. The gray and the toe are both contain nylon, are very sturdy, and then the rest is just for looks, so you can use whatever yarn you want. So that's something that I love. So I have all these leftover yarns that I brought with me, and then I didn't really use them, but I was happy to have them for options. You never know. Then I also have another, I wanted to see what else I had brought. I brought this bag. Oh yes, this is where I put, these are the leftovers remaining from the sweaters that I knit. And yeah, see the leftovers from the sock. I still have this. I knit 2 pairs of socks and I still have this. And that's it. That's it really. Yeah, leftovers from the sweater. The bluebird colorway. So I can knit a pair of bluebird socks now. I've got some leftovers from that, and I love this hot pink. Anyway, more leftovers, adding them to the leftover sock bin. I've got so much, but I find uses. So there, I also knit these 2 pairs of socks. So far we're at 3 sweaters, 2 pairs of socks, although to be fair, the sweaters had already been commenced before holiday. Then I went to our local farmer's market in Pugwash, Nova Scotia, and there was a woman there selling woven items and hand spun yarn, and I could not resist. It was super well priced. I mean, insanely well priced. It was like 200 grams of yarn, a giant skein of sort of bulky hand spun for, I think I paid $45, which I mean, that's a really good price. And the price, it's absolutely, I mean, by saying really, I think it's underpriced. She's undervaluing her work. I told her it was absolutely gorgeous. But regardless, my point is she's not on Instagram or on any social media, so I don't remember what her name is off the top of my head, but that's why you can't find her unless you go to the Pugwash market in the summer. The yarn is beautiful. I was really deliberating what I was going to make with it. And then at the end, I just decided I just want to use it. I'm not saving it for the perfect project because I don't know what that would be. So I've knit 2 things with it so far, and I still have all this left. So this, because I just loved the way it looks in garter stitch, I just knit a garter stitch band with a slip stitch edging, and then I sewed it together. I haven't even woven in the ends because I'm worried I might have to undo it, and I think it's a bit bigger than it needs to be, but it's a headband, and my daughter will hopefully wear it this winter, because then you can wear I grew up wearing a headband every single day in the winter. You can still do your ponytail or your braid or your bun or your whatever, and then it keeps your ears warm. I love a headband. Super practical. So if she doesn't wear it, I'll wear it. But since it fits me quite well, I'm wondering I need to take out a row or two for it to fit her better. But at any rate, so like dead simple, but I find it highlights the yarn really well. And it's just so fun to knit with yarn like this. And then I also knit a pair, and I think these ones are going to be for my eldest son, although we can share them. A pair of mittens, pair of cozy mitts. I used the Tin Can Knits World's Simplest Mitt pattern, more or less. I did some, I don't know if I knit the top according to pattern. At any rate, more or less, that would be the best duplicate for this pattern. And they are just really lovely. And what's really funny, I mean, if you hold up these three things, they don't even look like they're from the same yarn. They're so, this one in particular, this mitten with, well, I guess there's sections that look similar, but like compared to this one is so pink and blue and pastel-y, and this is like full autumn vibes. So fun. I love handspun yarn. And I love it so much that when I got home, I was really inspired by working with this yarn that I started spinning. So I think that covers what I worked on while I was on holiday. And I'm happy with that. Some summers I don't knit at all because my life is so different at the cottage. We don't have Wi-Fi. We have terrible cell service. So we are basically off the grid. We are disconnected. Now there's Wi-Fi. My parents have a cottage just across the road from us and they have Wi-Fi. They're too far for us to get it from our cottage. But just to say, like, I do walk across the street, go to their cottage and answer emails and log on and do some stuff. But I don't sit there for hours scrolling Instagram like I do at home. And we don't watch any television. And normally I do a lot of knitting in the evenings, put on a show. My personal favorites are on Discovery Plus. They've got a lot of design programs that I love to watch and knit. And at the cottage, we're out with our family. We're on the beach. I've discovered I'm not a beach knitter. I never have been. I tried this summer and it just was like, it's not for me. So I started knitting in the morning, which is not really something that I do here in my real life. But I would wake up and I would knit in the morning while I drank my coffee, and it was delightful. So that's how I did manage to get a lot of knitting done. And we do have a 12-hour car ride there and back, so that accounts for a lot of knitting time as well. And every year is different. Some years I knit almost nothing, and some years, like this year, I feel like I got a substantial amount of knitting done. And, oh, I should also mention that at the Pugwash Market, I bought a beautiful project bag. I don't know that it's necessary. It's a beautiful bag. I don't know if she explicitly designs them and makes them to be project bags, but that's what I use it for. It's this gorgeous pouch. It is by, oh, and I like the interior as well. It is by Sandra Ward, who I happen to know. She lives near my cottage, and it's Stitch Boutique. And you can follow her on Instagram, Stitch Boutique 2020. Oops. Anyhow, I'll put her link in the description box. And I totally fell in love with this lion fabric. Look at that. And you know what? Crazy for me, the colorway came in an aqua one as well, but I chose the coral. I just absolutely love it. I mean, look at that regal lion. So I thought that was really cute. And it's a great size for me for a sweater. Or like, a larger project, because most of my project bags are like this by Jenna Rose, who you all know I also love. She's one of my best buds, and she makes these gorgeous project bags, and this is just one size bigger. And it's this one I don't have to explain to you what a project bag is for, but this one I like for, smaller projects, and this one I like for bigger projects. So I have another one of these that I had bought previously, and another really beautiful fabric. And so I know that I like them. She makes excellent stuff. And so that was my summer treat. Then I have one last project that I worked on. I started this in the car ride home, and this is fun. So we're packing to leave to come home from the cottage, and I have to have something to work on in the car, and I had no whips. I had no works in progress going. So I needed to just pack some yarn and knit something simple. And so I packed a little ball of blue sock yarn, a little ball of rainbow multicolored speckled light sock yarn, and a little ball, oh, I didn't realize I'm done this ball, of this gilded colorway. and I was intending to do like stripe cuff. I was probably going to do something similar to my other socks where I do a striped cuff and then knit a sock. At any rate, I sit down in the car and I cast on, and it was like, I don't know what happened. I knit a fingerless mitt. This was the sock cuff, and then it transformed. So this, when I knit for it's too big for me because it was starting to be a sock. I cast on 60 stitches, and for me, that's too big for a fingerless mitt. So the reason it looks too big for me is because it's actually for my husband. I asked him as he was driving the car, would you wear a fingerless mitt? Should I make this for you instead? And he was really keen. So he is apparently a fingerless mitt guy. Because the truth is, I actually like almost never wear fingerless mitts. Like, I could absolutely get through my life without fingerless mitts. But I do like to knit them, and how cute is that? So I'm just need to finish. I guess I'm glad I have another leftover ball. I need to add this to this project bag because to finish his. And then I do think I'm going to go through all those leftovers that I have in this bag, come up with a couple more combos because my kids seemed quite keen on them as well. They seem to think that they're really appropriate for riding their bikes in the fall. They're like, oh, where am I riding my bike? I guess they're thinking of them like those, yeah, like driving gloves or whatever, which is kind of cute. So I'm going to knit them all. They're little bike riding gloves. And maybe I will knit them all. We shall see. I haven't been knitting as much since we got home because I've been spinning, but these are almost done. They're really quite a quick knit. They're quicker than a sock. So I'll finish those for Chris and then see where I go from there. But as I was saying, I haven't been knitting a ton because I was so inspired by the handspun that I bought that I went to town spinning myself. So I bought all of this roving, 4 different 50, these are just 50-gram braids of roving at Knit City this spring. In May I bought this. And also I just want to pat myself on the back because this yarn was also from Knit City. And then I have another sock that I knit previously that was also from Knit City. I just feel like I'm doing a really good job of using the yarn that I bought at Knit City, which isn't always a guarantee, and so I'm proud of myself. Thank you. So I bought these 4 braids of roving from A Lair Artifacts. Oh, maybe it's English. A Lair Artifacts. I'm reading it in French. She was French. A Lair Artifacts. Sorry. And it's beautiful. So she was really knowledgeable. These are 4 different breeds of sheep. She was super knowledgeable about the different breeds. I only chose based on color. I am ashamed to say I have 0 interest in different breeds of sheep. Although I do now know, having spun these 4 different breeds, which ones I like more than others. Like, I will not be buying the Kent Romney again. I did not enjoy spinning it. And I loved spinning the Rambouillet. Loved spinning this one. This one's a much lower micron count, meaning it's way softer than this one. Like, this one is a 20 to 23 microns, and this one is 27 to 29 microns. This one is, actually, it's quite funny. This one's 28 to 33 microns, which the higher the micron count, the less soft. Merino is often like 20. This is 20 to 23. So this is beautiful. This one I really, really love. Anyways, just interesting. But I'm really happy with all of the handspun that I got from it. I have a tendency to spin. The only style of spinning that I do is I spin 2-ply. Let's see which one. This should show it quite well. I spin 2-ply. They end up sort of like Barber Polish. And I don't do any planning about how the colors are going to go or what's happening. I just take what I get and I'm happy. And that's what I did for all of these. But I also have a tendency to always try to spin it as thin as possible. And I feel that's probably because when I was starting, that was sort of always my goal. That was the challenge. But as I was spinning these, I started going larger intentionally. I was like, I don't only need to be spinning fingering weight yarn. And so it's particularly because after I've been knitting, you know, I was knitting with this yarn, which is bulky, Handspun and absolutely beautiful, I was like, maybe I do like bulky. So this one's bulkier. This one's more like worsted. Yeah, this is like worsted. This is bulky. I wrote down, I put the tags back on and I wrote down the yardage that I got for each one so that I remember. And they're all really lovely and I'm really looking forward to using them. Isn't that fun? So this is my little collection. This is my wall of Handspun and I really need to start. Well, I don't really prioritize using it. I consider my Handspun as like my own treat, but they just sit here. They sit here admired and loved by me, but they deserve to be used. So I'm going to try and plan. My daughter maybe I'll knit her fingerless mitts in this, you know, something simple, something fun. So I actually have another spin going on my spinning wheel right now. So I'm really in the spinning zone, but I'm going to segue. I'm going to segue into sweater zone again because that's what happens in the fall. Just right now, you know, feels like 42. It's hard to get the sweater enthusiasm going. But there you have it. That's what I knit all summer. Currently on my needles is only those fingerless mitts. Currently we're really focused now on the dye pots. I don't know, you can see in this frame, you can't see all of them, but there's a bunch of gradients laid out over here. These are kits that we're working on that are going to launch tomorrow in the shop for the Stephen West Mystery Cal this fall that starts October 3rd. So we made gradient kits for it. And I really love them all, and perhaps that'll be like a way for me to jump into. Should I pull out my faves? I guess I should talk about them since they're coming tomorrow. Is this one maybe my favorite one? I mean, it's crazy because I'm so not a red person, but look at that. I love I am a hot pink person. So I'm loving this one very much. You couldn't see this one, so let me show you that. That's just a classic gray. I mean, you cannot go wrong with that. Coral's fun. I like this one a lot too. Really like that one. This is for our earthy neutral babes. Of course, I'm sorry. I would not probably pick this one for myself because these are not my colors, but I do. If they're yours, I recommend them. Had to do something turquoisey. Always. To me this is green, but it's like really turquoise. This is also turquoise, but it's also more of a bluey turquoise. I mean, this is not green. This is a bluey sky turquoise. And then, gorgeous. I think this one's super successful to me, the purple one. I really like it a lot. So these are the 7 that we will have available tomorrow. Perhaps we will add more if they're, you know, if people like them, if there's a colorway that we really missed. Because gradients are so fun. And I'm really excited for this. Have I ever done one? I've never done a Stephen West Mystery Cal, but this may be the one. And actually now I'm thinking maybe it's the purple for me, not the red. I don't know. Which would you choose? I'm excited to see. And I mean, there's nothing more fun than putting together gradient kits. So thank you, Stephen, for doing that. And that's it for this week, guys. Trying to get back into it. I'm totally reorganizing my office, so this place is a disaster, but, and the shelves are pretty empty, so it's kind of depressing for me. But we're filling them up. They will be full before you know it. First update of the season tomorrow, and that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and happy back to school to everybody.